Hello everyone, my name is Jared and I've been working at ProZ.com since 2007, but this year I started to help oversee the ProZ Pro Bono initiative as well. So you could say at the moment I'm wearing two hats depending on what I'm doing. It's a little bit more fun for me to think of it not as wearing two hats, but as playing two different characters. So you have ProZ.com, Jared.
Hey, ProZ.com Jared looks like this. He's a little bit scragglier. You can't see in the video, but I'm also wearing shorts and flip-flops.
And then there's ProZ Pro Bono, Jared.
Nice shirt, ProZ Pro Bono Jared.
ProZ Pro Bono, Jared tries to be a little bit more presentable. At the very least, I'm wearing pants and socks and shoes.
This guy.
So let's start with a little bit of backstory. We could go back further in time, I imagine, but this is probably far enough. You may remember in 2010, the Haiti earthquake disaster that struck in January of that year, and it affected an estimated 3 million people. There were thousands of deaths, a humanitarian disaster, and relief efforts were being rallied around that. Translators Without Borders, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, founded in 1993, also an organization that provides language services to those in need, put out a call for volunteers to help with the humanitarian efforts being rallied around Haiti. One of these calls went through the ProZ.com forums. The response from people wanting to help was so great. I believe, if I remember correctly, in the first day, there were 80 new volunteers, and so on as the days progressed. The response was so great that suddenly Translators Without Borders had more volunteers to screen than they could reasonably handle. So ProZ.com quickly built a relatively simple screening center designed to allow Translators Without Borders to a bit more efficiently and quickly screen incoming volunteers. There was also a certain affinity with the screening being done for ProZ.com's Certified Pro Network, the CPN, which allowed screeners to fast track those who were already in the CPN because they had already been screened for certain criteria. In the lifetime of that screening center, it processed more than 14,000 volunteer submissions. The collaboration with Translators Without Borders continued, and soon the screening center evolved and became part of a full-blown translation management system where Translator Without Borders clients could come and submit projects. They could be sourced and run start to finish. There was also integration with ProZ.com profiles. Many of you who have worked for Translators Without Borders and are also on ProZ.com know that, your words translated would show up in your profile with a badge associated with Translators Without Borders. So this TMS, when we called it the Translation Center, by the end of 2016 had seen the translation of over 37 million words for Translators Without Borders. By this time, Translators Without Borders had grown as an organization. The number of volunteers had grown, their processes had grown, and so as time went on, their need for ProZ.com's support in this way diminished. Even so, it was clear that many freelance language professionals wanted to contribute to these kinds of causes, and since some of the bandwidth for supporting other organizations doing this kind of work had opened up, the question was, well, what now? ProZ.com has a mission statement.
Can I do this one? The ProZ.com mission? I've got this.
No, that's fine. That's fine, thank you. I've got this, don't worry. Why don't you go and send some emails or something?
As I was saying, ProZ.com has a mission statement, that those working at ProZ.com take very seriously. It's not just a pretty bit of text put up on a website. And it's all about empowering mostly freelance language professionals, but any language professional, to realize their objectives and their full potential. So there was already alignment between the ProZ.com mission and the work being done by these nonprofit organizations, such as Translators Without Borders. So in 2022, ProZ Pro Bono was founded. And ProZ Pro Bono's purpose, in its simplest terms, are as follows. It's to do good in the world, to give language professionals the opportunity to leverage their skills, their time, their expertise in favor of causes that they deem worthy, and to also provide opportunities for learning and professional development. Who can participate? ProZ Pro Bono is very open and inclusive. There are two tracks, you could say, volunteers and partners. Volunteers are the heart and soul of ProZ Pro Bono. They are the people making everything happen. And by partners, we are referring to other organizations, nonprofits, that ProZ Pro Bono is helping. On the partner side, any nonprofit that needs help can apply for help to be considered. And on the volunteer end, anyone who wants to help can volunteer. There are no set limitations on how many years of experience you have or your background or anything like that. If you want to help, we want to give you the opportunity to help. If you're just starting out or don't have a lot of experience, your path is a little bit different, but you're still welcome to volunteer. I'll get to that in just a moment. So the way to start working with ProZ Pro Bono is relatively simple. You just go to the website and you'll see those two tracks, one for volunteers and one for partners. Volunteers, after submitting their interest in participating, get contacted and go through a short onboarding process, which includes reading some of the ProZ Pro Bono documentation, agreeing to the ProZ Pro Bono Code of Ethics, and so on. Volunteers and partners alike are added to this public dashboard where we can keep track of things like words translated, projects done. In terms of the kinds of projects ProZ Pro Bono volunteers do, there's a wide array of types of project. Here you can see kind of a simple breakdown of that. Medical, health, support for refugees, gender issues, environmental, all kinds of activism, protection of vulnerable children, and educational. It really runs a gamut. There's plenty of types of project to choose from. And again, going back to what I said earlier, volunteers are offered the opportunity to select the projects that they deem worthy to work on. Now, the project workflow is fairly simple, straightforward, and because we are very often dealing with information which is essential, critical, a great amount of importance is placed on the quality of the output. So we don't have scenarios where a translator does a translation and it just goes out. We go through a review process for every project to ensure quality, to ensure accuracy, to ensure that what we're giving back to the partner is right. Depending on the partner and the project, the translators and reviewers may be credited in publications, but they're also given credit for the time and the words put in on these projects. ProZ Pro Bono keeps track of that, and that shows up in the dashboard. There's also an integration in ProZ.com profiles where you will be able to see if someone does work for ProZ Pro Bono and the contributions that they've made. Now, going back to volunteers who maybe have less experience and come into the program, you may not get a translation project out the gate. It may take a little while. In cases where the translator has less experience than required for the project, we try to pair them up, either with another translator and or with a reviewer with a lot more experience, so that there's an opportunity there both for the less experienced translator to get mentoring and also for the more experienced translator to mentor. Here you see an example of what I mentioned in a ProZ.com profile. The little ProZ Pro Bono icon will appear next to the volunteer's name. And if you mouse over, you can see what they've contributed so far. Now, with mentoring, professional growth, and networking that can happen in a project for a partner, but it can also happen in other ways. ProZ Pro Bono has what we call evergreen pieces, which are materials that don't necessarily have a set deadline, or the partner hasn't explicitly said, I need this in this language, but it's material that would be of use to people if it were in their language. So the ProZ Pro Bono website has this section of evergreen pieces that those who are interested, maybe you want to build some experience, maybe you just have some free time and you want to knock out an article, you can go there, grab something, translate it, and submit that. What we are implementing now is review on evergreen pieces, so that we get this partnering of the translator and the reviewer. And the idea is to take that and showcase it. So you'll be able to not only translate an evergreen piece, you'll be able to get it reviewed by someone with experience. The idea is to utilize this a little bit better for those mentoring opportunities, for that professional growth, and of course, networking. Hopefully, it will also give volunteers one more means of showcasing their importance as human experts, which more and more is becoming essential, especially now in the age of AI. So if you're already a volunteer and you've got some spare time and you either haven't done an evergreen piece or it's been a while, grab one, translate it. You can request review on that, and it will be paired up with a reviewer. If you've already done evergreen pieces and you would like to have them reviewed so that they can be published on the site, you can also do that. And if you're just getting started and you want to build up some experience, this is a great way of doing it. Volunteers who are also seeking to learn something new or learn more have access to courses that are free resources provided to ProZ Pro Bono volunteers. Many of them donated by our own Claudia Brower. The last time I looked, I believe there were 45 courses in the repository. So if you wanted to dig into something like legal terminology, medical terminology, interpreting technical issues, or general business practices for freelancers, and so on, you have a starting point in the ProZ Pro Bono training section. So ProZ Pro Bono is a lean, modest organization, and it's also a very young organization. But so far, it's been able to do some really, really great things. To date, ProZ Pro Bono has been able to support 143 organizations, nonprofits around the world. We're zeroing in on 2,000 volunteers, and to date, just over 11 million words have been translated. And there is a lot more to do. So if you're not already volunteering, and maybe you're considering volunteering, if the idea of donating a few hours of your time to translating something that will go on to provide better access to information, will make someone's life better, may even actually save someone's life, if that appeals to you, then we'd be happy to welcome you on board. You'll find ample opportunities to make a positive impact on the world, to do good in the world, to learn, work, and network with like-minded people from around the world doing the same. And believe me, it's also just a lot of fun. So,
And that brings us to the end of this presentation. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Nice job, ProZ Pro Bono, Jared.
Don't you have other things to do?
Great. Just give me 1 second. And hi, Pros Pro Bono, Pros Pro Bono, Jared.
Hello
How is
again.
it going?
It's going well, I think.
You think? Okay, awesome. So thanks a lot for the presentation. That was quite a nice overview about the area in case that many other people didn't know about it. And yes, the main question will be how or where should people go ahead and communicate to be part of Pros Pro Bono? And I know that you've shared the link in the chat box, but I just want you to say it out loud so people watching from other social media can know too.
Okay. Yeah. Pros Pro Bono has its own website. You can find it on pros.com as well. Uh, we try to be everywhere we can. But the main website is pros, that's PROZ, pro bono dot world. Pros pro bono dot world. You go there and you'll be able to see about the program and whatnot. And there is a section of the website which in the menu called Work with Us. You just go there and you'll see those two tracks that I mentioned in the presentation. There's the option for if you're a nonprofit, if you're in need of language services, you can contact us. And there's the option to volunteer as a linguist. Now, if you're volunteering as a linguist, be sure to choose that button. Don't choose the other button that will put you on the wrong track. That's okay. We can correct that if it happens, but it's the option on the right that says join as a volunteer. You just click that. You put in some basic information about yourself so that we can contact you. Uh, and someone, either myself, Cynthia, or Nesreen, will be in touch and you'll get kind of the onboarding packet, which requires that you read through some material, the code of ethics, the way the translation and review process works, just some basic documents to set you up. You go through that and reply to a few questions, and you're off. You get added to the ProZ Pro Bono dashboard, and you can start accepting projects that come along that you find interesting.
Does Pros Pro Bono has a limit for volunteers, or do always allow more and more people to come and try to volunteer?
Is there a limit to the number of
Yeah.
volunteers? No, absolutely not. The I mean, if you look around, just like in the world, there's no limit to people needing help. And I think there's no limit to the people that we could help, but it all depends on the volunteers. Um, Depending on the languages you work in, that may influence the frequency with which you see projects. But we are constantly getting new projects where maybe we don't have enough volunteers to handle what is coming in. So we have to go out and I think a week or two ago I posted some recruitment calls for languages like Urdu, Hindi, Nepali, languages like that. So it's important for us to have a volunteer base in order to be able to say to partners or potential partners, yeah, we've got you covered. We can handle that, right? So there's no limit on the number of volunteers. Um, that is what is going to influence our ability to increase the number of partners that we can serve and the amount of good we can do, basically.
Hmm. And now let's go with the questions that
Beatriz,
yes, Beatriz asks. She asks, what is the biggest challenge in sustaining such a large pro bono program?
I don't know if it's a large program yet. Like I said in the presentation, it's a young organization. It was founded in I mean, there's a lot of experience that fed into the ProZ Pro Bono program prior to its being founded, but it's a relatively young organization. There are I have to assume Translators Without Borders, for example, is a large organization in comparison. Um, but that's just a quibble with the term large. Sorry. Uh, Challenges, I think everything is challenging. It can be challenging to um, to serve partners in a timely manner. As I mentioned just a moment ago, sometimes the number of volunteers we have available for certain types of work makes it a challenge. Um, the monetary aspect is also a challenge. It's ProZ Pro Bono is a nonprofit, but there are still costs involved, operating costs, and things like that. And so we rely on donations, fundraising. So that's a different type of challenge, but it's also a challenge. Um, and then there are just like little daily challenges, project to project that I think are actually kind of uh, fun challenges. But being at such an early point, relatively speaking, in the life of the organization, there's just so many different horizons. There's a lot that we could do that we're not doing yet, and maybe a challenge there is deciding, okay, where do we go? Which direction do we go? Do we try to do it all at the same time, or do we take it step by step? You know. So there are challenges everywhere you look. Some of them are fun. Some of them are a little less fun, but but they're all over the place.
And also in your presentation, you talked about volunteers networking with other volunteers in the Press Pro Bono page, where they can find this place so they can communicate with each other and start conversation.
That happens after the onboarding. So you submit your interest to volunteer. You go through that short onboarding process that I mentioned, and then you're given access to um, certain areas where you can be more closely in touch with your fellow volunteers. For example, ProZ Pro Bono has a Discord server. So some people are on the Discord. There's also a WhatsApp community. Some people are on the WhatsApp community. There are different channels through which volunteers have contact with us, with me, with Nesrin and Cynthia, and also amongst each other. There are also communities where we're not necessarily always talking about ProZ Pro Bono. They are places where if you have a technical problem or a doubt about something, you can go pose the question and receive help from other people in the program.
That's great. And maybe also like a specific channel in the Discord for questions about terminology and all that stuff, or based on languages, not that, nothing like that.
Yeah. I don't want to open up the Discord right now because we're broadcasting. I don't know what it will do. Uh, but yeah. There's it's broken down into there are channels for different language pairs.
Hmm.
There's a channel for anyone who's used like messaging platforms will pick up on it if you're not familiar um, with Discord. There are different channels for different topics or different types of discussions. So yes, and if there isn't a channel for what you want to talk about, we just create the channel. It's easy as that.
Great. And Mohammed asked, and this will be the last question. Could pro bono ever lead to paid work?
I think so. That may be a better question posed to pros pro bono volunteers. Like, what impact has your volunteerism had on the commercial end of your work? But you'll see this in maybe one or two of the presentations that are to come. But depending on where you are in your career, it can have maybe a larger or a different type of impact. If you're just starting out, it's a good way to get some practice under your belt, get some mentoring, get some experience that will help you land commercial work. In some instances, I think being able to show the volunteer work you do may facilitate landing certain clients, that they know that, okay, you're a professional, you do commercial work, but you also donate of your time and your expertise just to do good. That can be a sort of marketing tactic, would be a blunt way to put it. I think that could be beneficial. And there are types of, I mean, it's not terribly frequent, but there are types of projects that will come through the pipeline where the partner does have a certain budget to spend on language services. So even if you're volunteering, there may be occasions where some form of payment is involved, simply because the partner is able to pay for it in that case.
Awesome, thank you. So that was the last question. We have to keep going. There are like other presentations, and but people, don't you worry. Pros Pro Bono Jared will be here with us a little bit more, and later we will have to find one. The pros.com Jared. Sorry, Pros Pro Bono Jared.
I put him in the closet today. He hadn't shaved. He didn't shave. He didn't shower.
Mm,
He's out of the way.
okay, okay. So, but you will have a Jared, not the one that you were asking for, but a Jared. That's something. The next presentation is called Assertiveness for Translators and Language Professionals, and it is with Dr. Antti Bodin, right? Yeah.
Sorry, Luana, we're going to show throughout the day. Those of you who got here early may have seen some of these. Throughout the day, we're going to show, they're just short clips of different pros pro bono volunteers who have bravely offered themselves up on camera in a series called Meet the Volunteers. These get posted to the Pros Pro Bono Instagram, for example. So if you go there, you'll be able to see them all kind of separately. We've compiled some of them to show you throughout the day, so that you're not just seeing our faces or the faces of the presenters, but also a kind of a wider array of the people who have the people who are powering Pros Pro Bono. So I think we're going to go with one of those first, and then we'll jump into
To the presentation.
presentation with Antia. Antia, I'm going to have to ask you to confirm when I talk to you if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. With Antia Bothan, who, as you said, Luana, will be speaking about assertiveness for language professionals.
Yep. So see you in a bit.